feel like people only want to know about my entrepreneurial journey because they're like counting my coins and they're just really nosy. It's okay, I'm nosy too. I love a little gossip. Smart entrepreneur never lets people know everything that they have going on. Is not going to be putting all of their information out there. You might know about all the eggs in this basket, but you don't know how many baskets I have. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jackie and I help people elevate, improve, and enhance their lives to find happier, healthier, more fulfilling lives through finding a balance between their mind, body, and soul. Last week I introduced episode 1 of my entrepreneurial journey, and today I'm going to continue my entrepreneurial journey and how I went from starting my first company to how I became an entrepreneur with her hand in a few different businesses, how I kind of developed my entrepreneurial mindset. I started my first company, a small business consulting company. I initially was working for friends of friends. At this time that I was starting my company, the economy was really shitty. We were not in a great economy. We had the big crash in 2008. Business was underperforming in that economy, except for small business. Small business was excelling in that economy, which I don't find to be coincidental. I'm not going to deviate, but I could go into that. I could go into that way further. I started to notice a trend that the small businesses that were failing, they weren't failing because they didn't have a good product or a good service. They were failing because the business owner was shitty at running a business. Just because you have a good product or a good service or you have a talent, you're great at what you do, what you sell, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be great at owning a business. A lot of the work that I was doing at that time was putting processes into place for people, organizing shit for people. I would go into their business and kind of analyze the day-to-day for a few days and then come in with a plan. This isn't efficient. This isn't working. You have no organization for this. An example, one of my big clients at the time was a printing company, and the owner of the printing company knew his shit. Like what you would go online to order right now, 5,000 different products, pens, t-shirts, banners, but the owner was just so scattered. He had like 6 or 7 different places that he had incoming orders, and he would fall behind on incoming orders because they were all over the place. A lot of that first year was really just me helping people to get their shit together. And when you get your shit together, your income goes up, your free time goes up, and you do a good job by someone and you help them to free up their time and make more money simultaneously, they're going to refer you to people. And I will stand by, even in the age of social media, the best marketing tool is doing a good job by someone, having them do the marketing for you. I only set up a website for myself in the last year or so because for over a decade, I was just working off referrals. I had so much business off of referrals that I didn't need a website. And people would tell me, how do you operate your business without social media, without a website? Do a good fucking job for people. And they can't wait to tell someone, hey, I have this girl, she's gonna help you. I do a good job by people and they come back, they refer, etc., etc. I didn't need a website. I didn't need social media. I didn't need to prove to some stranger on the internet that I was worth their time and money. I proved it by doing my job. I am worth people's time and money. I'm exceptional at what I do, and that excelling at what I do really helped me to just catapult what I was doing. 2011, when I officially formed the business, one of my clients referred me to the local chamber of commerce, and then it just blew up. I was working 8 to 12-hour days. I had a ton of clients. I actually got an office at that time, which upon reflection was not a smart idea. I'm going to go into some of the mistakes I made as an entrepreneur. For today's purpose, I'm not going to dive into that. I did put a link to an article. I wrote 13 lessons I learned in 13 years of entrepreneurship, so you can dig into that article. At that time, I was going with what people needed me for, what people wanted me for, what I was good at. Social media is starting to become a thing for business. People were asking me about marketing plans, marketing on social media, and it wasn't something that I necessarily had the expertise in. I started taking classes for marketing and I started helping people with their social media marketing. As I mentioned in the video prior, my boyfriend at the time was really pivotal in supporting me, in lifting me up to do this and giving me courage and confidence to do this. And he is an entrepreneur himself. His mind is always working for business. And so we were together all the time. So my mind started always working for business. Around that time is when I started to deviate and think like, okay, Now I have this successful consulting company. What else can I do? He had a used car dealership, so he was selling used cars, so I started selling used cars. And then he got into real estate. The market had just crashed, so real estate was just a great opportunity for people who saw it as an opportunity and weren't just seeing it as like a shitty real estate market. They were seeing it as an opportunity. I started to see it as an opportunity. He and I would drive looking at different property, going to auctions. I learned so much about buying properties at auction. I learned about inspecting properties. I learned so much from him. I don't want to deviate too much, but we have this idea when we're in a relationship with someone that the purpose of the relationship is to stay together and be together forever and to have this happily ever after. Upon reflection, I really see how that relationship that didn't last forever, and when it was over, it was devastating to me. That shaped me as the entrepreneur that I am. I'm so grateful for my time with him. Even if it didn't end well, the time that I had with him influenced me as a person. It didn't necessarily need to be that relationship was about us being together forever. That relationship became a big part of who I am as a person. I like to look at my relationships as a springboard for growth as opposed to something I need to hold on to forever. I'm going to go deeper into my relationship philosophy in another video. It's just relevant for the purpose of this video. We were going to the car auctions, we were going to the home auction. We were at a car auction one time and there was a food truck on the auction line and we just kind of looked at each other like, are we gonna do this? And we bought this food truck. This was a massive mistake. We knew nothing about owning a food truck, operating a food truck. We just had an idea that, oh, there's a few places that we knew of that a food truck would do well at because we've been in these places. There was no food. So we thought, okay, that would be a good place to have a food truck. Permits, authorization, state, county, and you have the county and then you have the town. Your hot water tank isn't enough gallons. So many things that went into that business that we had no idea about. We're dumb, deaf, blind, and mute. It wasn't cheap. Furnish it with kitchen things, ovens, fryers, everything. So it needed to be compact. Hot water this, safety that. It was so much back and forth. We finally got it fully licensed, up, running. We have everything. All our ducks are in a row. And we worked the first day. Fuck that. I was not made to work in a food truck. I hated it. I hated it so much. Did not want to do it. Didn't want to go into the idea of hiring someone to figure out how they're going to do it. It was a terrible idea. In retrospect, all of the resistance that we met trying to put this business together should have been a sign that this isn't for us. If it's not flowing, if it's probably not for you. We really tried to force it. In trying to force the food truck business, we also tried to force our relationship, and that food truck was the beginning of the end for our relationship. We ended up breaking up. He started seeing someone else while we were still together. They were having a baby. It was just a lot. I was bumping into one or the other of them. All live very close to each other. I got a referral from one of my consulting clients who referred me to their cousin who lived in Miami. I'm not allowed to say too much about that because I have very strict, heavy NDAs. I was presented with an opportunity to move to Miami to help a woman start a new business. It was a 6-month contract, going to be very hands-on, project manager. I just knew that this was something I had to take. I couldn't heal in this environment, a place that I was hurt. I had to take this opportunity. 6 months in Miami could do me right. Took that opportunity to move to Miami. It ended up falling through. As I said, I have a lot of really heavy NDAs, so I can't go too deep into that. Everything happens for a reason, and I ended up staying in Miami for about 3 years and building up a completely different business, doing a completely different side of consulting, really dove into marketing at that time. But that's where I'm going to leave off today. Going into the work that I did in Miami is going to be so much fun. Loved the work that I did in Miami. Really, the work that I did in Miami led to me being able to travel the world for work. I'm going to leave that off for today. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. My name is Jackie, and I help people elevate, enhance, and improve their lives to find happier, healthier, more fulfilling lives through finding a balance between their mind, body, and soul. You can find me on social media at Jackie is Alive on everything: TikTok, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. I make new videos here every week, so don't forget to click subscribe, and I will see you next week.